I recently had a case where the mother came in with a 5-year-old daughter. She was terribly upset, and she was fighting to keep it together because she didn't want to upset her daughter. And so I talked to her first, then I brought the daughter in. The daughter had made up some stories which DCF became involved with because she told the school, and next thing you know, it's off to the races. The daughter's story was just not believable, not credible. And so as I talked to the daughter, I asked her date of birth. She didn't know the day, the month, or the year she was born. And I thought to myself, oh boy. I said, where do you live? What's your street address? She didn't know what street she lived on nor the number. She didn't know the city or town or the zip code. I asked her, does she have a phone number to call either her mother or anyone else? She said, I don't know. When I asked her to say her ABCs, she was unable to say her ABCs. I asked her to count 1 to 10, she was unable to do that. I asked her what school she was going to for pre-K that fall. She didn't know, and she also didn't know the name of her teacher. And then I asked her, I said, do you know the difference between a truth and a lie? And she said, and she didn't say anything. And so I asked her a couple questions about the truth and telling a lie. And she couldn't answer, she couldn't determine, she couldn't differentiate between what is the truth and what is a lie. Now, every witness, regardless of your age, must do the following to be what's called competent, to have credibility, to be able to testify. And they must be able to see an event, they must be able to remember that event, then they must give full meaning to what they've seen and heard and know the difference between the truth and a lie. This young girl was unable to do that. It was abundantly clear. So when we met with the DCF investigator, Mom was present with the father. Now the parents were split up. And when the investigator interviewed this child, the investigator asked the child, how often do you see your father? And the father lived in the western part of the state, and he'd drive a couple hours to come see the child every other weekend. And the child says, oh, I see Daddy every day. False statement. And then they asked the child, when you are with Dad, does Dad have any rules at home? And she said, oh no, he lets me do whatever I want, whenever I want, how I want. Another false statement. Then she asked, how many times a week do you go to school? And she said, oh, I go to school every day. And so the investigator asked her, what are the days of the week? She didn't know. Asked her what it was the months of the year. She didn't know. Asked her her numbers. Didn't know. ABCs. Didn't know. Date of birth. Didn't know. Street address. Didn't know. City or town she lived in. Didn't know. This girl was totally, unfortunately, incompetent because she had some cognitive limitations and disabilities. And DCF, after hearing and seeing this, completely understood, after the numerous false statements, that this was a girl that was unable to ascertain truth from a lie, unable to determine reality from unreality, couldn't determine to tell you anything that was in reality. She talked about monsters and talked about Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and other types of fantasies. She talked about her Halloween outfit. That's all she talked about, which was a superhero fantasy. And when asked point blank by the investigator, are superheroes real? Oh, of course they are, she said with a big smile on her face. And the investigator, when all was said and all was done, looked at the mother and looked at the father and said that you can't believe her. She had no credibility. And the story she had told was just such a yarn, you couldn't believe it. And it was abundantly clear that the child could not tell a story, and for anyone to have believed anything this child had said was a huge, major mistake. And the daughter was the best exhibit in the world. To give DCF, just sit and talk to her. Talk to her for 10 minutes, you'd be scratching your head saying, huh, what? What did you say? Because her stories just went on and on and on, and none of them added up. And DCF got that. And the investigator, much to her credit, unsupported the allegations, and the parents were relieved, and life went on.